propose to the jury member to join us like I'm doing today, so to fill this empty amphitheater and have the possibility to connect directly with the students. So it will be for the 18th of February, the date of the final oral presentations. We will send you an email asking you if you're willing to join us for that date, if you have the ability to do it, and we will maintain anyway a mixed format. So we will be through Teams as well for the jury member who can't join, and we will be there for the jury member who can. So. Now we will just wait a few minutes more to let all the jury members to join us. Good morning and welcome. We are not everybody's here yet, but I think we're not far from having everybody. So let's welcome you and thank you to join us for today's presentation. So today the teams of the M2 students of the Enjmin are going to present the state of their project, M2 projects. You discovered these projects 2 months ago, and you will see now where they are. 1 month more to go, and we will see how it evaluates. So, as I said, we want to thank you to be there and to take part of these presentations and this exchange. I think you all received the link to the evaluation. So these evaluation sheets or files are online. Do not hesitate if you have questions concerning that. So I don't know if you do have some right now. Do not hesitate to say and ask questions. If there's no question, so today you received the planning as well. So each team will have 20 minutes, about 20 minutes to present their projects, and each team will have about 25 minutes to exchange with you after the presentations. We will have 3 teams this morning, 3 this afternoon, and during the breaks or at the end of the day after the presentation, we will do like last time, let you have an exchange more informal with them through the Discord server. So we will put the link again so you can join this server just to have an exchange directly with each team, either textual exchange or vocal ones. So if there's no questions, hopefully everybody join us. I will check that in the meantime. So if everybody's ready, and I see the first team quite ready, so let's welcome Echo of the Sky.
Imagine if you were living in a fantasy world, a ethereal land where magic would shape the potential of each human being, a splendid place whose history and architecture would be inspired by Indian culture and Hinduism. This is the story of Echo of the Sky.
Travel doesn't become an adventure until you leave yourself behind. I always felt it. Deep down, I knew this day would come. I've always been looking for something else, for something more. I have read so many books and listened to so many people. But now, I want to be the one with the stories to tell. I will see the world, but with my own eyes.
Thousands of years ago, at a time when there was nothing, the Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva came to the terrestrial realm and gave birth to the world. Later on, to preserve the soil from a terrible disease, the Devas sent the land up in the sky to the celestial realm. And before falling into a deep sleep, they blessed each human being with the potential of one of their powers. And thus, people were given divine powers at birth, powers that would be at the heart of their society. The voices, bearers of the power of Brahma and Saraswati, can create and alter their surroundings according to the chants they sing. The Earringers, bearers of the power of Vishnu and Lakshmi, can hear, understand, and interpret every little detail very quickly. And the Touchers, bearers of the power of Shiva and Parvati, can feel and heal impurities when they touch something or someone. Our story revolves around Sarah, a young merchant known for her carefree personality and her love for adventure. Our heroine was born with the power of the voice, but she always felt unsure about choosing this gift, as she could never understand why this had been given to her. Deep down, she always felt she was looking for something else, for something that would help her understand her true purpose in life. But her life changed on the day she read the Hymn to Emancipation, a poem written by sage Narada, the holy messenger from the ancient writings. These words, she couldn't tell why, but she immediately felt connected to them. And thus, on that day, Sarah left her hometown and went on a journey on which she would discover the places described in each stanza of the poem. This is the story of Sarah's coming of age. On this journey, she would be pursuing the 4 aims of Purushada. By defining what purpose, prosperity, and desire mean to her, she would attain emancipation, thus releasing her soul from the cycle of reincarnation. she would find the real potential of her power by helping others and by overcoming obstacles. The more she would feel connected to her power, the more her chants would be powerful and graceful. And as time goes by, she would meet unique people, learning from what they would teach her and from what she would give them. The journey of Saira follows the 4 stanzas of the hymn to emancipation. Each stanza embodies a key moment from Narada's own journey. When Saira would reach her destination, she would be enlightened with one of the answers to her Purushada. Thus, she would be able to understand the following stanza and resume her journey toward a new location. And now, let's dive into the heart of our second chapter, the moment when Saira will finally realize what prosperity means to her.
Now let's talk about the gameplay. Our key mechanic is called the echo. Saira can sing an echo which is made of several chants in a row. Each chant is associated to an element, like earth, air, and water. Each element can then affect a part of the environment, creating new paths for Saira to take and helping her progress through levels. We will now play a video showcasing our gameplay prototype and explaining it in details. Welcome into Echo of the Sky. In this short gameplay demonstration, we will present everything you need to know about our mechanics. First, you can move the camera freely around you, running, jumping, and wall jumping. But what happens when you face an obstacle you cannot overcome by jumping? This is where the echo comes into play. Press the Y button to enter the Echo Edit mode. In this mode, you can produce an echo by creating a sequence of elemental chants that impacts a part of the environment. On the left, you can see the echo wheel. This radial menu allows you to select the chant you want to sing. On the right, these are the echo slots Saira has unlocked by developing her powers. To sing, press A to enter each chant one after another by aiming at them while the echo bar is on top of a chant slot. You can stop whenever you think your echo is long enough by releasing A, or retry by pressing A again. To see how your echo is going to impact the world, press then Y to quit the Echo Edit mode. You may notice that the echo spreads around Saira and loops back. For each elemental chant, part of the world will be able to react and move in a specific way in order to help Saira to get further in her journey. The echo keeps looping until Saira gets across a series of obstacles, or if she leaves the area. Now that you know how to sing echoes, let's try to face a puzzle. Oh, apparently this solution wasn't a good one. Let's try again. Great! We finished our first puzzle. Let's try the second one. Excellent! Just in time for me to end this demonstration of Echo of the Sky, coming out later with many more puzzles, elements, and environments to discover. Thank you for watching. You can see here some VFX we are working on for each chain Sarah can use. Not everything has been implemented yet, but we are working on a list of signs and feedback that must be checked on both visual and sound effects to make sure the player understands everything they do and to reinforce the game feel. We must also precise that the animations you've seen are still placeholders, but are currently being replaced with the actual ones. It is now time to dive into echoes and puzzles. Let's introduce you to the logic we're using. Each chant element has a main effect on the environment. Earth structures assets like folding stairs and rocks. Air creates movement to activate mechanisms and produce air streams, while water focuses on the energy and the power of water-based objects. Each asset is associated to one of these elements. In addition, they have a specific use. Some of them are a one-use asset, being activated only once and stay in place after that. There is two states assets that alternate between two reversible states each time a corresponding chant is echoed, and there is chant-timed assets, which go back to their initial state after the chant is over. Let's illustrate that with a few examples. We have the air panel, which can be activated by an air chant, and it is a two-state asset. Each time an air chant is in use, the panel flips to the other side. Below that is a water geyser, streaming an upward water stream to propel the player whenever the water chant is in use, as it is a chant-timed asset. Oops, sorry. These are the two assets we've used on our demo, as you might have noticed. But this demo was a map made for testing and prototyping. Let's now talk about the actual map. The level design of the game is divided into two main types of areas. First, exploration areas, like Soutenance, the Bath city of our vertical slice. They are focused on outdoor environments and discovery of the world. There, puzzle design is based on the topography of the place. And second, puzzle platformer dungeons, like the water tower of Soutenance. They are focused on indoors and intimacy, leaving time for reflection and strategy. Contrary to exploration areas, puzzles are designed first, and after that, the architecture of the buildings and the whole level design are built around them. During some levels, Sarah will meet other people who will inspire her. In Soutenance, she will face Trisha, a young woman imbued with the power of the ear. She is a pillager, and her goal is to steal a treasure, supposedly hidden at the top of the water tower. Sarah and Trisha will decide to use their powers to help each other progress toward the top of the water tower. In terms of narration, Sarah and Trisha are like two faces of a coin. They share similar personality traits, but their personal backgrounds make them different. It is this conflict that allows them to learn from each other, and by the end of chapter 2, both of them will understand what matters the most to them in life, thus reaching the aim of prosperity. Sorry, our mic has been muted, so I will do it again. So yeah, I was talking about the demo, but then we're going to talk about the actual map. So as I said, level design of the game is divided into main type of areas. First, exploration areas based on outdoor environments and discovery of the world, where puzzle design is based on the topography of the place. And second, puzzle platformer dungeons, like the water tower of Soutenance, that are more focused on indoors and intimacy, leaving time for reflection and strategy. Contrary to exploration areas, puzzles are designed first, and after that, the architecture of the building and the whole level design are built around them. So, during some levels, Sarah will meet other people who will inspire her. In Soutenance, she will face Trisha, a young woman imbued with the power of the ear. She is a pillager, and her goal is to steal a treasure supposedly hidden at the top of the water tower. Sarah and Trisha will decide to use their powers to help each other progress towards the top of the water tower. In terms of narration, Sarah and Trisha are like two faces of a coin. They share similar personality traits, but their personal backgrounds make them different. It is this conflict that allows them to learn from each other, and by the end of chapter 2, both of them will understand what matters the most to them in life, thus reaching the aim of prosperity. We are currently working on her 3D model. So this is Siddhinath, a place known for being an ancient sacred bath city that, according to beliefs, was built by Vishnu and Shiva. With their powers, they imbued water from the baths with a curative effect that would make anyone entering them be relieved from all their pains. Nowadays, as sacred sites are less visited than before, and this place being on top of the mountain, far from other cities, it is inhabited and has been not maintained for years. You can see in this top view map that the village is organically built around the central town square, the canal, and the water palace with its tower. This is the first environment we want you to discover in our vertical slice of Echo of the Sky. We currently have the grey boxing of the whole city. You can see in the short video loops some paths that Sarah will take toward her next step, the water tower. Our game artists have been working on the environment that is going to replace little by little our grey boxing. You can see here an example with a nature scene. This is the entrance of a village, currently being skinned with some modular assets and trees made by using speed tree. This is another view to give you an idea of the atmosphere we want to create. This looks very clean for now, but we will use assets and decals to give it a more abandoned look. After the city and after discovering the water chant in the palace, Sarah will come into the water tower. The design of the water tower relies on its puzzles. Therefore, we started by defining all the puzzles the player will face to create the floors. We worked with having the learning curve in mind and to present progressively new interaction with the water chant. One big interest of this level is that it features co-op with Trisha. At some point in the tower, you will need to help her, but also to listen to her to understand how to get to the next floor and eventually reach the top. These are 2 of the 4 puzzle floors that the water tower has. We made this puzzle documentation with a personnel naming and schematics that you can understand with the key legend next to it. With those plans, we can now work on the actual level design by making maps according to the puzzles and the architecture style and space flow we want the tower to have. Everything's cleared up about the city and the gameplay of our vertical slice. I am now going to let Terry talk about the sound design of the game, which is pretty major in a musical game.
Thank you, Wissam. I will now talk to you about the sound system of the singing mechanic. You can start the chant, and when you start the chant, you can edit this chant. When you edit, you can focus on the voice. It's a direct interaction because there are fast transition between the elements, and the sound come from the characters or around the characters. When you agree with your echo, you can validate this echo, and you're now in spread mode. In spread mode, you're more focused on element change, like SFX here, hertz here, and the sound is specialized. SFX are specialized in the map. About the echo chant mechanic, according to the player choice, the right chant will be released. For each element, different variations of the melody are available on the playlist and will be randomly played. MIDI track is a good solution as it allows flexibility for the chants and transition management between different elements. I sample Laurian's voice with to be mixed with the music, and now this is an example of the chant with a water chant sampled with background music. About the music direction of the game, first, the main goal is the player understanding. It's gameplay based, and there are different pitch between the elements. We chosen different Indian instruments according to reference like Nina Burmi, Ravi Shankar, the famous Indian singer and composer. First, for the heart element, the tabla. For the hair, the bansuri. And for the water, the santur. And all the instruments together. Actually, we work on voice direction. The objective is to have an Indian accent and to fit with different situation, narrative, in-game voices. It's a narrative game, so they are planned to have a voice. That's why we have done a selection according to quality, acting, and matching to our image of Syra. I will now like the microphone to Antoine about the management objective.
Thank you, Terry. So to conclude the presentation, I'm going to present you the objective that we had for the vertical slice that we in the time frame dedicated. So we wanted a clear definition of the audience that we anticipate that will play the game. We wanted also a deep understanding of the team behavior, the method that could be carried on the long term for the full production, such as the voice acting selection. We wanted also a representative playable experience that demonstrate the innovation we intend to bring. And we wanted some external proof that our audience target and more like the experience that we propose via playtesting. So in a quick way, let's have a quick overview of our roadmap. We started with a time dedicated to research in order to have a game that will represent the intention and the ambition of the team regarding the time frame that we had for our vertical slice. Right now, we built the foundation of a game with the gray boxing, the modular environment asset, and the modelization of our first character. In roughly 2 weeks, we will switch to the polishing part of a game and to the tasks that needed previous productions, such as the animation and the play testing by external members. Gameplay-wise, our originality lies in the fact that our game is a mix of exploration, platforming, and rhythm, and we are working hard to keep this real opportunity in terms of player experience. If we keep our rhythm of production that we have right now, we will need a total of a year to realize completely our project with the 6th chapter that we presented to you before. With the external help that we will need for the animation and the marketing, our total production cost will be roughly around 500k euros, which positions us between a AAA model and a AA one, where we would need to sell a total of 40k copies of our game on our own and 70k copies with the help of a publisher in order to achieve the break-even point. So, be ready for the Echoes of the Sky experience, where you sing to transform your environment around you, where you feel a good vibe and vibrant and colorful world, and where you enjoy a poetic and fulfilling story with powerful characters. This was a presentation of Echoes of the Sky. We really thank you for your attention, and we are looking forward to answer your questions.
Thank you. Thank you. Can you hear me? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, and thank you despite all the technical problems we had with the sharing. So as you've all noticed for the people at distance, you have all the links in the chat if you want to see all the videos that were displayed. And we're gonna start with the questions. So as the first of you who did that, you know that you have to raise your hand so I can more easily give you tell you who speaks, and start with presenting yourself, please. So Stéphane, if you want to start.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I have a question about the game design in general and gameplay mechanism in particular. I understood the mechanism based on the three elements and the puzzle system. Is there any kind of gameplay which is more action based? And also, I do not understand how you intend to give a progression in the difficulty of the puzzle. Do you have a general principles, or will you do it according to each situation? This is my first question. Explain me how you see the evolution of the gameplay all around the game and the progression of the difficulty. And a second point is you did not present exactly what are the three M, the three level of motivation of the game. I understood that the short-term motivation and the short-term loop is about the puzzle system, and the long-term motivation is the narration. But in the narration, we do not know exactly what is the influence of the player on the story. And I suppose that the midterm motivation are based on the fact that you are in each chapter, you have a new universe and you want to know the next universe. But I would like you to comment about these three levels of motivation.
Okay. About player progression, about the evolution of the difficulty, we have two metrics, which is having several elements to impact the world, but also having enough chance slot to solve puzzles. Having more chance slot allows you to get even more complex echoes, but with that comes more difficult puzzles that you will be faced with. Having 5 chance slot does not mean that you have a difficulty of puzzle with 5 chance to put them together, but gives you just more power to find solutions on their own, because our puzzle don't always have only one solution. It's about experimenting and finding different ways. You talked about more action-based situations. It is not the intention of our game. It is more based around exploration, discovery, and it is more about the progression of the character itself, and not based on a different obstacle that might be action-based. About your question with motivations, the short-term motivation are the different obstacles that the player have to face to get to a specific point. The midterm motivations are, as you said, based on narration, because the narration is based on a poem that Sarah follows, and while evolving into these different places, she will understand by standing there and discovering the world and see how it works, what is her next destination. It is also based on all the characters that Sarah will encounter. There's 3 of them, which have the 3 powers we presented. And the long-term motivation is about finding emancipation and the 4 principles of the Purushara. I think I answered what you asked. Tell me if I forgot something.
Thank you. It's okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your answer.
Thank you, Stéphane. I think David has also questions. So David, hi.
Hello, I'm David Bowman, Studio Development Director at Creative Assembly. First of all, I liked your pitch. It was good. What's the biggest problems you've discovered so far? What are you running into as problems? I'd like to hear your problems and then what you think your solutions will be going forward.
David, can you hear me right now?
I can. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yeah, it's fine for me. So I'm going to answer your question simply. We took a risk in the development by doing the prototype a little bit late, and we bet on the performance of the team. That was maybe not the most safest way to manage the problem, but we choose to trust the people and to accord them the freedom to create something that really fit to the team's mood, better than following a simple, normal process. And I think that's the biggest risk we took. It's paying right now because on the side we see it's working well, but we have to confirm that we reach the target with the playtest, which will occur next week. So we will definitely know next week if the risk we took was worth it or not.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Frédéric, I think you have a question as well. Frédéric Giraud.
Yes, hello. I'm Frédéric. I'm a level designer at Ubisoft, just for the presentation. I felt like it was really interesting to have that puzzle platforming and rhythmic elements, so it's really cool. I wanted to know if you had some intentions on the changes of tempo on which you have the chants that are going, so probably you could have faster tempos at the end of the game. Is it something that you want to have? I hope you have synchronization between your chants and your music, by the way.
Yeah, hello. Yes, we intend to make a progression of the pace to shift the difficulty of the game, but we also have an accessibility intention, because as our main public target is casual gamers, we want them to enjoy the game as they want, and we, instead of making the echo chants going way faster and not giving them any control over that, we want them to have in the options of the game features that allows them to choose the speed of the echo in both edit mode and spread mode, so they can enjoy the game as they want. We want, as a base of the difficulty, increase the speed of it, but we still want the players to being able to edit it if it's too difficult for them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Judy Kael, hi, do you have a question?
Hi, I'm Jiga. I work as a UI UX designer at Asmodee Digital. I just have a small question about sound design too. I heard that you're going to use different Indian instruments, and just in the small extract that we hear, I just hear one kind of vocalize. It was like la 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 la. And I was wondering if you're going to use all the different vocalize that we could find in the Indian songs. Do you want to do that, or is it something you're going to do, or it's something you don't want to do?
Hi. Yeah, about chant sentences. First, it's the ergonomic aspect of the chant, because first you need to determine easily which element you will chant. About the sentences, we try different variation, and for now, the easier way to identify the chant was La for the water, Hey for the earth, and the for the earth. So we try different sentences. For example, for rhythmic park, in Indian culture, there are some way to learn music, and for rhythmic, it's more like tak tada din, tak tada din, tak. So we tried this. About the melodic part, it's not working well. So it's actually subject to change, but we are mainly inspired by Indian culture and music. So yeah, it's currently on test, and first, if the player understanding is good with the chant. I hope I answer your question.
Yes, I really hope you will get something interesting, because I love how of a variation of Indian sounds, sounds, yeah, songs. Sorry, sound like too many S to pronounce.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judicael. I think Grégoire and Sven have questions.
Yes, can you hear us okay? Yeah?
Yes, we can.
Cool. Yes, we can. So yeah, it's more of a, it's a question about, do you have any deeper video about the chant system on hand that we could look at? Like how it works? Is there even a prototype that we can try out, something like that?
For now, we don't have a deeper video. We have this video, which is very deductive and explains it all. But we are currently working on a build that we will be able to share after, and also do a playtest with it, so everybody can try it out and see how deep the gameplay can be.
Okay. Just as it was kind of like a epidemic reaction at your response to a question before, which was the fact that you don't have a prototype running right now. It's 1 month from the deadline. To me, it's a little bit scary. Because like, on paper, it works. Like, I like the idea a lot. It's just like you don't know that it works until it does work. And if you don't try to make it work right now, it's going to be a bit late, I think.
Actually, we do have a prototype. The only issue is just a build system that just gives some bugs and stuff, but we can play it in editor and finish puzzles.
Okay.
So we'll be able to play test and fix everything we need to.
Okay. Cool then.
Thank you.
Thank you, Grégoire. Thales, I think you have a question as well. Thales, I don't know if you're talking, we can't hear you. It seems you're writing. Okay. It seems you have a problem with your mic, or maybe with the app. I see Marion has a question, so I will give the mic to Marion and see later if Thales is okay. So Marion, hi.
Hi. Thales, you want to go first? Go ahead.
Sorry.
So you can go, Thales, if you... It's okay, we can hear you now. So you can go, Thales.
Did you think about adding dancing moves while she sings?
Can you repeat the question, sorry?
Did you think about adding dancing moves while she sings the notes?
We thought about this not for the actual gameplay, because it would be confusing with the whole platforming process, but maybe for cutscenes. But as a budget decision, both on times and money and animations, it was too costly to think about dance moves. But yeah, we definitely think about it.
Not really dancing moves, but just some animation, because it seems a bit static.
Oh yeah, for now the animations are still placeholders. We will have new ones shortly. So yeah, for now it's very stiff when jumping and everything, but it will change.
Also, okay, and also the double jump, it could be explained by seeing an air note,
Yeah, that's an
by
interesting point
using
of
the
view.
power of air.
Yeah,
And
it could have been
this was not really a
deeper
question.
as
Sorry.
having different move sets depending of different chants, but it might be it might get like intertwined with the resolution of the echo depending on which element you have, and the player has to remember what you can do at each chant. I think it's an interesting part of view having different moveset depending on the chant you have, but for a casual gamer, it might get even harder to get, I think, since this is our target. But very interesting.
And last question: did you think about adding combo with different elements? Like you sink the water, so the water appears, and use the wine to change the direction.
We thought about combos, like it was also a question we had the other time. We did not want to include like elemental combos like both air and water at the same time to do stuff, but we will have some puzzle combos that is more about the sequence to move a specific object, for example, propulsing it with water and then moving it with air and stocking it with earth. So it's kind of a combo, but a sequence one.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you too.
Thank you. Marion, it's your turn.
So a quick question, and I'm sorry if you mentioned that in the previous presentation and I didn't write it down, but which platforms do you plan to release on? And as an additional question on what selling targets do you think you can hit with this kind of game on different platforms?
Yeah, we presented it at the previous presentation, so sorry if I didn't remind it. So of course we are aiming for casual gamers that are around 20 and 25 years old. This kind of game reveals to be mostly played by young workers at the beginning that really don't want to make big game session, such a game session between 30 and 2 hours twice a week. So we really thought about doing some small part in the level design with a lot of checkpoints to allow the player to still enjoy the experience on the long term, even if they don't play a lot. And we thought to reach this kind of people about, of course, releasing it on the PC, because that will be the most stable version. And we are looking forward for the Nintendo market, so we will release it on the Switch possibly, but we didn't evaluate yet how much time it will take for us to be able to do a portable version on it, even if we know that Unreal has some ease to do some build on this kind of platform.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you. I think this was the last question for your project. Thank you once again for the presentation, and thank you all the jury members for the exchange. As said, if you want to have further questions and further exchanges with the team, you will be able to meet them through Discord server, and we will put the link on the Discord. Thank you. So let's congratulate the team once again. We will try to make some applause, even if we are not very much in the room here. Thank you, and let's welcome the following team, which will present the project La Brume. So a few minutes to settle the team. So the team is settling still. We wait for the share of the presentation. I don't know if all the members of the jury, do you have questions? Did you all receive the evaluation file? No technical problem so far?
Yeah, we are actually mentioning something on the Discord.
Okay.
For the jury, do not fill the survey before you have all the answers, because the survey times out and it does not save your answers.
Okay.
So you need to only fill it when you have everything.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. Now I see the exchange. I hadn't seen it before. I will check that. Okay. Okay, we will inquire. Okay. So I will wait for the team to tell me when they're ready, and just a few seconds. And as for the precedent team, if there's problems seeing and or hearing correctly the elements, they will share the links. They will share the links on the discussion, on the chat. So here we go.
I just have to check Delphine is here because she's in remote. Delphine?
I am.
Okay, great. In an alternate reality, where the world is entirely covered by a thick fog, find your way as a little girl using your sonoscope to travel through the hostile territory. Stay hidden and don't draw out the attention of your enemies to survive.
So we'll start the storytelling by one of our first actors, the fog. The fog, our world is entirely covered by it, and it has shaped society living in our world. So it's wet and cold because it's composed mainly of water. It's dense, so it blocks visions. It's non-toxic and quite breathable, and its appearance and why it stays in place in that world is completely mysterious, and societies don't think a world could exist without it. So for our two communities of our game, there's the Supir, that is the city of and the community of our main protagonist. They are discreet and quiet, with a strong isolationist dogma. For them, the fog is something you cannot tamper with. They adapt to it by technological advance in sound and sound visualization. They want to stay away from the world, and they have a deep respect for the fog and want to live quietly under it. So the opponent communities are, on the contrary, noisy explorers and growth fanatics. They are centered on development and resource acquisition. For them, the fog is something that should be tampered with, and they must alter to overcome the challenge of this world. So they adapted themselves and oriented their technological through architectural elevation around to overcome the mist and to see through it. So the conflict between those two communities is a dire first contact, as the explorers came into the superior territory and they responded with quick and violent in a quick and violent way, and that escaled to total war, filled by ideology discrepancy, as they don't have the same vision of their world and how to live with the fog. So our main protagonist is Sores. It's a little super girl in a conflict. She's trained to take part in it, and she has a tool, the Sonoscope, that allows her to see sound sources through the fog and to use it as a sonar, mainly. Her goal is to sabotage the enemy city. So in fact, her tool, the Sonoscope, is a sonic bomb that she will explode to destroy the city. She has partial knowledge of that goal and what it implies. So she is completely manipulated to take part in that conflict. And through our game, the player will discover those clues and the relationship of our main character and her goal and what she thinks of it. So for our world, her journey starts with the super city when she is trained and filled with ideology against our enemy city. She will go through the forest between those two cities and at the enemy city, infiltrate the enemy city to get into the heart of the city to expose her Sonoscope. So our intention is to depict a world covered by fog and to create anguish through it, and playing with a little girl that is quite fragile against her environment, with strong narrative theme that are confusions, manipulation, and the touchy subject of child soldier and what it implies in her mentality. So for our vertical slice, it will take place just after the arrival in the low city and to the first wall of the main city. So it's just after the beginning of the game in the tutorial. And so it will stop at when she will enter to the main city. So for our game design mechanic, I will do a quick reminder of our 3C. We are in the third-person camera with the main tool to get information and to overcome the infiltration challenge of our game is the Sonoscope that we will discuss later. And for our character, we play a little girl that is vulnerable against her environment. I will let Rémi speak about the Sonoscope.
And so the Sonoscope is the main tool of our character. It's a sound-sensitive device which allows her to progress through the environment. It features two functions, which are sound visualization and sonar. The Sonoscope works with a battery system, so every action with the Sonoscope consumes battery, and it slowly charges when it's not used. But if it is empty, there will be a longer cooldown before the charge. The goal is to create tension from the use on the Sonoscope and punish spamming. Then there is a sound visualization. So first you have the listening mode. When you turn it on, you can visualize sound sources in a blurry way. So it's used to have a main idea of the environment, and it slowly consumes the battery. You have then the focus listening. So you can aim to focus on each audio source to have a better understanding of what's happening. So there will be a sharper image and a wider area shown. Then it consumes faster the battery. We have also the sonar system, so the players can set a sound wave to reveal the environment at mid-range. So it works with echolocation, and every impulse consumes chunks of battery. About the infiltration dynamics, our enemies can detect the players only with sound and with their eyes at very, very close range. So at first they are patrolling, then if the player emits a sound, they will be alerted and the area of detection is created, so the enemy will investigate in this area. The Sonoscope will feature an upgrade system. So there will be other child infiltrators through the games who will help the character to upgrade the Sonoscope and unlock new abilities. So there will be sounders to lead the enemy elsewhere to overcome them. The Hertzian mode to listen and jam enemies' radio communication. The sound taser to neutralize the enemies, and the microphonic mode to recount sounds and manipulate them. In the story progression, the journey of Sori to the top of the city will make her doubt on her mission by understanding its consequences. We divided the story in 3 acts. So the first is the mission. It's her arrival to the city. She sneaks over the mural and with clear determination about what she's doing. Then there is the doubt. So she will pass through the mines in the mountain. She will be captured, then helped by another infiltrator. And she will meet people from the city and start to understand her real goal and the fact that the people living here are not savages. So the third act is the resolution. So she will reach the heart of the city and she will have to choose between fulfill her mission or to create her own path. About the difficulty curve through the game, the new features will be added all along the game to keep the players engaged and to create new creative ways of play. And each new mechanic will be tested with a higher challenge after a tutorial sequence. The difficulty will increase slightly through the game until the final test in the last part of the game. Our vertical slice starts after the first tutorial phase in the first act. So now we're gonna show you a quick extract of the game to set the mood before we talk about the artistic direction.
The player will discover an alternate world, dive into the mist, with a physics that is close to ours, like how the sun and the humidity can affect the people living in this world. Our vertical slice will be set in the antagonist low city, and this part of the city is inspired by medieval environment mixed with advanced technology. The ground is soaked, and the enemy raise their house on stilts. They use mainly wood for the foundation and metals on the roof, and pipes and cables cross the village to bring energy to the houses. Here you can see the 3D modelization of the houses of the game in Unreal Engine. And we choose to make modular assets, which allow us to have a flexible level design process and allow us to have diverse houses. Our main character is a 12 years old child. She's resourceful and is able to use and upgrade the Sonoscope thanks to her technology knowledge. And because of the lack of sunlight, she has a fair complexion. Her hair has to be short so it doesn't bother her during her journey. And she was trained for the purpose of the mission. And her clothes are convenient so she can move easily. Her body is entirely covered to protect her skin from the humidity. To activate and use the different mode of the Sonoscope attached to her back, she used the button and switch that is on her hand. Her appearance must suggest that she is different from the enemy she faces. This is why her clothes are more structured. The use of round shape on her clothes, whether it is for the button on her hand or even the sonoscope, are there as a symbol to recall the shape of her city and the isolationist ideology of her community. And also the battery level is indicated on her back. The sonoscope has two different appearance and modes. When it is off, it is placed and attached to her back, and when it is on, it detached from her back. It can deploy its receivers for sound captation or emit sound when it is in sonar mode. Here, a visualization of the 3D model of the sonoscope and a prototype of the animation. We have set up the different pillars and intentions that will serve as the basis for the animations of our character stories. She must sneak in like a little mouse and not be spotted by the enemy, which make her both vulnerable and smart. However, we want to get closer to certain realism when it comes to its reaction to its environment. She has to be silent, alert to danger, and stressed, knowing that she can potentially be spotted at any moment. To maintain a certain level of realism into our animation, we choose to use motion capture. We have the opportunity to work with a child actor, Elisa, that allow us to have accuracy to the movement of a child can do. And this is still in progress. Now I will let Delphine talk about the shaders and the effects of the game.
So these are the concept for the shader of the Sonoscope's main feature, the sonar. We went for the one called Iris because it allows the character to visualize her surroundings. So it is meant to remind the shape of an eye. And then we added a texture that reminds of the electrical nature of the tool she uses. As for the visual effects, the following are the ones that will be used to visualize the sound sources in passive listening mode. That will be doubled with a shader revealing the surroundings. These are meant to behave like the focus of an objective of a camera, and then to have a 3D ripple effect in order to simulate the behavior of sound in a 3D environment. The color palette has been decided with Aliénor in ergonomics, trying to stress the contrast and choose colors that are colorblind friendly.
So, saying that, we're gonna talk about accessibility. We want to focus on 3 points. First, offering option for colorblind and visually impaired people, for them to choose the color of the VFX, for example, but also of the HUDs, the font size they prefer. Secondly, we focus on deaf and hearing impaired people. That are our real focus. We want to use our mechanic of passive hearing, maybe to be free or less costing. We want to add closed caption, maybe audio description, to helping them enjoying the full experience. Lastly, we would love to let the player mapping their controller the way they want to play freely and enjoy the maximum experience.
So in Brume, sound is both important as a mechanic and as an atmosphere. We are focusing on the ambience of the environment and its realism. The scene takes place in a swampy area, so it's going to be a cold, watery and muddy atmosphere. The town is medieval inspired, so it's mainly composed of wood and metal. And going through the level, the player will hear specialized sounds from different elements of the level art. For example, houses, pipes, tunnels, and since there is some technology involved, he's gonna hear electric noises, machines, and generators. Depending on the narrative situation, the player will hear soundscapes between ambient sounds and music, reinforcing the atmosphere with a dark mood. Those soundscapes can also be a mystic representation of the fog's presence. Our main character wears stealth clothes, so she mainly produces sounds when moving, so we can hear her footsteps, breath. She will walk and crouch, so we are adapting her breath, footsteps, and presence to the narrative and gameplay states. At the contrary, the enemies are corpulent. They wear heavy tactical clothes, which produce a lot of sounds. They wear masks, so their breaths and voices will be filtered.
So as the enemies are not seeing each other, they are communicating with walkie-talkies, and it makes loud noises. Furthermore, as Damien said, the enemies have tactical clauses, so they will make noise when they move as well. After this slide, you will hear the audio concept that we made, and in it, for example, you will hear the enemies walk with like leather and clicky sounds from their clothes. And all these sounds are affected by the adaptative acoustic system that we have set up. As Remy said, when you're on a listening mode, you will hear and see specific sounds in the environment, but, and you will hear on the example, these sounds are still affected by the acoustics. When the player is on focus mode, there'll be a filter on the ambience. Also, the acoustic of the environment will be less affecting the sounds that we are focused on. For example, in the audio concept, you will hear that we focus on the enemies and their walkie-talkies. As the player leaves the focus mode, the acoustic comes back. When you use the sonar, you will send a sound wave to see the environment. As it is a mechanic that can be frequently used, it's a sound that needs to be light and with lots of variants, with different layers, and this layer will be randomized. And so now you will hear the audio concept.
Remember, this is for your own safety. In position. Ready? Ready to patrol. Okay, report everything. I'm at the bridge. Nothing to report here. Hey, what is that? I think I heard something.
Okay, report everything.
Hey, show yourself! Whoa! Contact! Contact! Ah, got her!
Now for the positioning part, we can say in terms of positioning that La Brume meet different competitors spread through many games typologies between infiltration, survival, anguish, and exploration. First of all, I can quote games like Death Stranding or A Plague Tale, which are very focused on exploration and mix an oppressive ambience we would like our player feel while playing our game. Also, on the other side, Little Nightmare, GTA 4, Thief, Inside, Limbo are much more concentrated on the infiltration mechanics, with an anguish side without being horror games. La Brume is the result of all these aspects. Based on an infiltration main mechanics, the gameplay allows to the player to explore their environment with an anguish and operative ambience. We analyzed our target as people who are fervent players to stealth and anguish games. Our target age should be +16 because the game can contain some violence, Also, I would like to specify that indie games lovers who like independent French games creation, for instance, can represent a significant part of our target. We choose platforms like PC or new generation home consoles because it allows to link technical possibilities of the game as well as the immersive side of these platforms. Firstly, after the vertical slice production, we can imagine 2 additional months of pre-production regarding the potential verticality of the gameplay to come in the game, including in 8 months production in the alpha. Next, 6 months for the beta, and finally 4 months for the Gold Master with the release on PC first and on consoles in the second time. The production could be helped by a publisher like Annapurna, The Villagers, or 11-Bit Studio. Also, we could imagine support from RT, the CNC, Amnesty International, and a communication about short-solar topic with testimonials, researchers and authors, specialists, and also why not donate funds to an association for the protection of children against war crimes for each purchase of the game. A total of 18 months post-vertical slice will be necessary to complete the production of La Brume. So now let's talk about the budget. With a budget estimation of 1.7 million euros for the development cost of the game and 2 million euros including marketing, testing, localization, laws, insurances, formation extra. With amendments of 6,000 euros and a game's duration of 7 hours, we can imagine our price at launch in a premium economic model to 25 euros. In this configuration, our return on investment will be at 80,320 copies. Our sales objective is situated at 180,000 copies. Now let's see a small roadmap of what involved such results. In the vertical slice part of the production, with 11 people on the project in 4 months, we can produce our main core mechanics with the Sonoscope, the linked feedbacks, our main character, the interaction with the enemies, and the place where the action takes place. In the vertical slice with a 15 minutes playtime. Then we have to strengthen the narration as well as a potential vertical gameplay. This kind of gameplay can involve risk, therefore to overcome it, we should make a second post-production in the alpha with an increasement of the team members up to 16 people, including specialties like narrative designer oriented in committed games, a level designer, a character designer for the different types of enemies, a tool programmer, and a game designer specialized on infiltration games. In terms of level design, we have to create the city zone with different protagonists and related situations and interactions. We also know we would like to upgrade the Sonoscope, so it implies new features that we have to produce, like the lures or Tarzer's mechanics. To complete, we have to pay attention of the difficulty balance, the feedbacks to test these features properly, and the compression of the game in beta to focus on the polish and the game feel of the experience. Finally, in Gold Master, the aim is to prepare the release with localization, debug platform specificities, and communication, with a smaller team focused on distribution and bugs correction, with an audio programmer and a marketing-oriented producer, for example. The game is based on a committed narration. The infiltration gameplay is based on sound through the fog. In La Brume, you will meet challenge in anguish situations. Finally, in this challenge, the tool can be your worst constraint or your best advantage. So now for the team, in game art, we have Lisa, Quentin, and Delphine in remote. In game design, we have Rémi and Victor. In sound design, Guéric and Damien. In programming, Fabrizio and Pierre. And UI UX, we have Aliénor and myself in producing. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thanks. So, if some of the jury member wants to start asking question, I'm following. If you can raise your hand. Okay. So let's start with Ludovic. Hi.
Hey, hi. Ludovic, lead content designer at Ubisoft. Thank you for the presentation. I have a question about your plans for the level design. Can you tell us more about how its ingredients would be tied to the anguish situations? For instance, do you plan to have some risk-reward situation with shortcuts, but enemies, traps, etc., etc.?
Okay, so at this point we have few mechanics to have in mind when we are doing the level design. So it's first, I don't know if we talked too much about it in the presentation, but when you use the sonar system, you can alert enemies. So you have to have some space to use this mechanic, and then we have to put in our level design some elements of hearing system to visualize sound source and have a vision of what's happening. So our enemies have to make some noise. There will be some generator, some system in the environment to lead the players' attention. So we have two aspects in the level design. The first is infiltration sequences, where you have to find your way to pass through enemies. So we are trying to play with verticality, to pass through pipes or to hide behind some pipes. So there will be the first sequences. And then we have more puzzle-focused sequences when you have to understand how the environment works around you to pass some places. I don't know if you want to add something.
Yeah, we have like the two sides, and the getting of knowledge of the environment through the sonoscope and through sounds or just through clues spoken by the enemies, and on the other hand, what Remy said, more infiltration focus parts, and we want to have a balance between those two.
Thank you.
Thank you. So now, Grégoire and Sven, if you want to ask your questions.
Yes, hi. Thank you for the presentation. I'm still trying to figure out how to formulate this. I'm really worried about the gameplay video, to be honest with you. Especially compared to the sound sample that we heard afterwards. What I mean is that it felt like the sound sample actually informed more about the gameplay than the gameplay video. We've seen a sample of guard behavior, sonar feedback, and all that stuff, and it's genuinely interesting. I'm just worried that you don't have a plan for how to precisely use it in the next month before you actually show us a vertical slice. So I guess I'm just curious about what's the planning and what do you actually have gameplay was integrated in a prototype at this moment?
So we wanted just to set a mood and to have like the fog and to show how you will go into the environment, but like we have our main mechanics that are the sonar and the passive and the listening mode, not yet the focus one, but like we have our core mechanics, but we at that point have to balance it, so we didn't show it right now, but we have them, and we are in a big part of integration phases. So I don't know if someone else want to respond to add something.
Maybe it's also a render question, because we were not happy of what's visualization is going through the mist at this point, because we have to face some technical issues. But we have some prototype tests with the mechanics actually. That's it for me, I think.
I think it would have been good to show us, yes, because right now it's like there's alarm ringing in my head, to be honest. Like if I'm a publisher and I see this, I'm like, they have nothing, and I know that's not true because I've seen stuff, but like you need to show me what you have, because right now gameplay wise this is really worrisome to me.
Yes, showing somebody working in the fog, that's not gameplay.
Okay, so I think for the next time we have more substance to show you. I'm sure.
Well, next time, like the final date, so I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, the Sonoscope is supposed to be the core mechanic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am trying currently to show you some videos, but we have the difficulties with the Teams. Okay, so I'm trying to find the prototype sequences. Yeah. So do you see the slide?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of old, but it shows you how it works in a way. We have also this sequence, but it's more of a prototype sequence. So it's for the sound visualization on the sonar. You see it?
Yeah.
So there will be there are evolutions since this point, but it's the main idea of how this system works.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you should consider showing this in your main presentation because.
I think we did a mistake here. So thank you for the feedback.
Yeah, because if you think showing us something that would look like the final render, and it prevents us to get you some feedbacks of the work you're actually working on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The purpose of the presentation is not to showing us some final render. We are here to help you to improve your work.
Yeah,
so if you don't show something, there is no way we're going to do that.
Okay.
Maybe we can more talking to you on Discord then, because this is actually interesting. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the feedbacks. Stefan, if you want to go next. Stefan, I don't know if you...
Thank you.
Yes,
okay. Oh, it's just a comment on your budget. I think the amount of marketing you put is very low, and your evaluation of the equilibrium point is the publisher equilibrium point, not your studio, the studio. So if you show that, and I think you have to show it, you should be more precise. But the amount of money on the marketing is really too low.
Okay, Stefan. Thank you for your comment. If you have time, maybe we can see that together, and see what you think about the details that I did for the budget. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Stefan. So, Nicolas, if you want to ask your question.
Yep, actually, I've got one question and one feedback that both are related to things that I've said earlier, but let's go on it. So first, the question: are you planning to add different types of enemies of guards that change the way the player will anticipate the situations?
So yes, we have this idea for the global game. So it will not be in the vertical slice, but there are two ways of changing the gameplay through the story. First, there will be different kind of enemies. So maybe some with thermal vision, some with different ways of spotting the characters through the fog. So you will have to anticipate their presence and to overcome them. And then we have in mind some sequences where the fog is less present. So you have to find new ways. That's why the microphonic mode on the headset mode could be options, because you can be creative and manipulate the enemies to make them go in a good spot to overcome them. And I think Victor wants to add something.
Yeah, and just we have thought about some sequence when the enemies have already been alerted. So we don't need to have other enemies to have a new gameplay situation, because like they will behave very differently if they are in a idle state at the start of a level and just being already alerted and being already cautious about the sound you will make and how they will see you very easily, more easily. So yeah, we thought about having different enemy and different situation when you face them. So yeah, we will have we are thought to have like various gameplay situation. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good idea, and that's pretty great for an infiltration game. The other thing, so the feedback I wanted to tell you, is that your gameplay video doesn't show a lot of things, like people have said earlier. The other example was great because I could figure out some of the things about the game design, but I think you have to show it as well in the prototype. You really should show the prototypes you've just show in Unreal with the the basic dummy. You should show that, because even if it's not perfect, even if it's not there is not any textures or things like that, I could figure out what was the game and what was the mechanic really easily with that. So you should add, I don't know, a slide or things like that talking about the game design and what do we really do in the game, because that's really important. And through all the presentation, I was like, okay, so what do I do in that game? So I think you should show it, because you will have more feedback. And even the things that you told me about the different enemies, even if you don't add that in the vertical slides, even at the end, I think in the presentation it could be interesting to show what we add in the game if we were able to develop it, and to show the potential and the things you've planned for the game. I think it's important.
Yeah, thank you. We'll definitely have a more precise video the next time. We can promise you that. And yeah, for what we thought about the enemy, I think right now we as we are focusing on the vertical slice, we put a lot of emphasis on what it is there. But yeah, we will have a lot. We will have talk about what we plan to the whole game. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks for your answers.
Thank you. Frédéric?
Hey, sorry, I can hear myself. Okay, it's okay. I'm just adding on top of the others, so I'm really sorry for that, but I want to understand why you haven't shown that. Is that because you weren't convinced visually? Because personally, on the visual side, even if it's a prototype, I find it a bit gamey, but at least it's very radical and it has a real effect on the environment, so it could do the trick to me. And I want to know if you have built at least some gameplay bricks on it, or if it's on the visual prototypes. I just want to know if you have at least a proof of concept, at least on your side, in terms of gameplay. Because right now, what we've seen, even in the later slides that you've shown when we were asking questions, we only saw visuals. Do you have something gameplay that is strong? Do you have, I don't know, just a little proof of concept of it?
Yeah, we have like two levels. One mainly focused on the infiltration and going through a zone it's filled with enemies, and so like it's really the infiltration part, and one that is more in the puzzle part. I would say like you will have to go under some platforms, hear some enemies saying okay, and remember okay they are there. So like it's more in the puzzly side. We have those two levels, and we have like in half not half, but like in greyboxing all the level in greyboxing, and we are replacing it with the modular assets of sorry we are replacing the greyboxing in the final asset, because like and we have like proof of concept of our mechanics, and And yeah, we have those level, but like as we said, we have technical issues with how the effect works right now. So we were afraid to show, not afraid, but like we didn't want to show you that, but like it's our mistakes, and we sorry about that. But yeah, we have some proof of concepts and a level to show that mechanics.
Okay, thank you.
So maybe it will be useful to have an extra exchange if you can show elements through the Discord later on this day. Thank you, Frédéric. Marion, if you want to ask question or comments.
Yep, I had a question on the UI. You showed some things about how we're going to interact with the Sonoscope, but one thing that I noticed was missing is the objective of this part of the mission. It showed, especially in your gameplay video, like we could see the little girl going through the fog, but I didn't understand where does she have to go. So how are you going to present the objective? What is the objective going to be? Will you have to actually explore a zone to try to find something, or is your objective going to be, I don't know, a blinking point on a map or something like this?
So at this point, we want to be very cinematic about what the objectives are. So in the vertical, I don't think we're going to have the cinematics, but it will be mainly focused on the scenario. And at this point, the way we try to guide the players is by using environmental clues. So we will see if it works, because we have some playtests in the next week. So at this point, there is in the vertical, you will have to follow a pipes network to go through the area. So there will be some guidelines in the environment to make you understand that you have to follow the pipes and follow the level. And I think Victor wants to add something.
Yeah, and our games is like a city on top of the mountain, and the players will just have to think, okay, I want to go up, and that's her goal through a big chunk of the game, and like most of the game is I want to go up. So if I'm lost, okay, where is the place that can get me the higher, and that's also the feeling that we want to have, because like we want to have the fantasy of you being a little girl lost in the fog with some at start some kind of creatures lurking in the fog, and in the city you don't know. So we want the players to have that feeling of, okay, I'm a bit lost there, but like for my main objective, it's really clear. For the vertical, I have to follow this pipe, and I want to go up in the city. I hope it's answered your question.
Okay, yeah. Actually, makes me think of a second question. When you presented the universe, you mentioned the starting city, the super city, and the forest before the enemy city, and then you mentioned that the whole game is actually going to be in the main city. So what are those, like the beginning city and the forest that you mentioned, what are they supposed to be?
They are a story element through the journey of our character and the story of the game as a whole. But like we in terms of scope of our game, if we have the time, the budget, we will use those places to be maybe some flashback of her training, or how she was manipulated, or just told to do this task that is quite horrible, in fact, like exploding a bomb in the city. And yeah, it will be more narrative elements, and if we could have some flashbacks, some audio clues, cinematics, it's like it will be in terms of scope. We don't know if we have the budget or not to do that in the whole game, but yeah, it's to say that her journey haven't started at the entrance of the enemy city, but like it it goes back to like even her birth into the super city and her journey through the forest.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome, thank you.
Thank you. We will take a last question or comments from Gregor and Sven.
Yeah, I just want to kind of like beat the iron while it's hot. It's not only for this project in particular. It's like, I think it's something worth mentioning for everyone. In my opinion, there is a stigma right now in the video game industry, which is that showing broken stuff is not okay, and this has to go. Like, especially between professionals, we have to be able to show each other broken stuff and explain what is going on, what is wrong, and how we intend to fix it, because that's how we do good games. And like, for you, like, we hammered it home. I think you understand that you should have shown those videos. It's fine. I feel like Echo suffered from kind of the same stigma as well. And I just want to say, for all the other presentations that are coming today, like, be ready, because I will be asking for those videos. They should be there of gameplay. However broken that is, I want to hear how it's broken, why it's broken, and what you intend to do to fix it. Because just sweeping it under the rug 1 month before the vertical slice is just voting for like a disastrous last presentation, I have to say. So
yeah, thank you. It takes a lot of experience to have that, and to have that knowledge and courage to do so in front of professional and a jury. And yeah, we will we know right now, and we thank you to have told us to do that, and we will. We can promise you that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you once again. Thanks for stressing on that point. It's important. So let's congratulate the team once again. And so thank you for this presentation and this exchange. Thank you, La Brume. So let's congrats. And let's welcome the third team of this morning, the fifth interaction. So just we're gonna take few minutes for a break. So it's gonna help the team to settle properly. So let's assume that we're gonna start again at 11:50, if that's okay for everybody. So if you want to to grab a coffee or some water, thanks for your patience, and we're gonna be ready at around 11:50.
Hello everyone. Do you hear us?
Yep.
Okay, because we are ready, so we can begin. Okay, so let's go. Everybody see the screen? It's okay? Okay, fine. Okay, let's go.
Far away in the grey desert of Solace, the distant temples, dark monoliths with unbridled tears, welcome me with perspiration. They await. This is the first step frozen in the ocean sand. My arrival.
You don't remember exactly how long you've been here, wandering on this desolated planet in search of the first temple. But now its gigantic shadow is in front of you. As you are passing through its entrance, the quintessence in your hand starts to quiver. In the fifth interaction, you are Cassandra, a lone space explorer, wandering in the depths of a derelict planet after answering a distress signal. In your trial, you'll be helped by the Quintessence, an alien artifact that increases your abilities and powers and allow you to survive during your exploration of the rude environment of Solace. Broadly speaking, our game is a cosmical parkour game with a Metroid-like structure. It's a solo first-person adventure for space and platform lovers, and it's meant to be released on consoles and PC and to last around 15 hours. The universe of the fifth interaction evolves around three main entities: the Quintessence, Solace, and Cassandra.
Thank you. The space is important to immerse the player in the game, so we want a unique identity for the planet, Solace. It's a mystical entity with a mineral aspect, yet it's moving and alive as an organism. The surface of the planet is desertic and produce monumental temples, which are dark monoliths that the player will have to explore. The depth of the planet presents space and time aberrations, and there is outwardly entities that wandering inside the temples. To talk about the minerals, the planet is desertic, and we have a diversity of mineral environments. We have created several textures. Some are more sober. Some are smooth, or some other are harsh, but we want something sober. There is different type of rocks with different textures. This one is more organic, and in the engine it will look like this. The materials of the monoliths can be smooth or brute, depending on the monoliths. And they appear in this form on the surface of the planet.
So the planet, Solace, we define it as an alien entity. It is a problematic space that oscillates between realities. It is not, as we call it, a place that where life can be found. That's why we are looking to give it a true identity, visually and sound-wise. So this is really important for us because we want to help the player understand all of the rules of this different world. Here you can see some concept art for the exploration of the main character on the planet, on the surface of the planet. So we're gonna make you listen to a bit of ambience, and you will be able to hear the files later on if you want. So this is the kind of atmosphere that Cassandra is gonna hear during her travel on the surface. So what you could hear here was the wind blowing through the rocks, the rock formation and the monoliths. You could hear some aberrations, you could hear the earth quaking. So these are all other visuals of the different places that the player is going to explore. And you can see some of the concept art for how some weird aberration objects could exist in this place.
To finish with the identity of the planet, let's see the presence. The presences are a kind of phantoms wandering around the temples, and they are extra-dimensional entities. It means that they are between different dimensions. They represent a dimensional rift, and they pressurize and compact the environment in their path. So they are deadly and dangerous for the player. They are gigantic, and if you look at the concept on the left, you can see they are represented by real images because of their nature beyond this space-time. So we are working on experimental videos, and for that we are using archives, but also materials from a video artist called Sam Sprickley. It's an Irish artist. We are looking for this kind of effects, something really concrete with close-up film destruction, and we are looking for abstraction of the image, but abstraction from real archives.
Our main character, Cassandra, in this universe, so she is a space explorer and she comes back to this planet Solace and she has a mission. She needs to bring back the artifact that she stole from there, the Quintessence. Cassandra is full of anger. She's lonely, but she has a will of power. She has a will of iron, sorry. She is helped in her journey with an anonymous AI that communicates with her, and that is our main way for the dialogue to occur in the game. We will get to learn more about her inner conflicts through the dialogue. So here you can see the concept art that we did for the suit and the character to try to more understand who she is. The most important part here is the material that we picked for the suit. Because this is a first-person game, we needed still to design the rest of the suit for many reasons. The materials help us to determine the sound that you can hear when inside of it. And also we have the 3D model complete. So we modeled the whole character because we wanted it as a tool for to help us with the scale of the game, and also some of the animation in cutscenes that we hope we can bring to the vertical slice. But mostly that's something that you're going to see throughout the game are the hand animations. So that's why we needed the model.
Cassandra is using a strange tool to overcome the obstacles of the planet, and it's what we called the Quintessence. It's an object that can influence the physical forces. Stuck in her left hand, it will give her more power to increase her mobility, And the link between them is more like symbiotic. So you can see it's merged into her left hand. And yeah, as I said, it will give more power to Cassandra. The player need to see the state of the quintessence. So we made some research in terms of shader and VFX to visualize the power of the quintessence.
So we're going to present you a short demo of our game. So this takes place in the beginning of a vertical slice that we're going to detail later. So I'm going to post a link to YouTube with better quality and sound if Teams is not enough. So you can watch it there. It's about 2 minutes.
So now, I won't comment it right now. I will talk more generally on the general game design of the game. As you may have noticed, our main references are Metroid games, of course, Arcane games, immersive themes, and parkour games like Mirror's Edge and Ghost Runner. In terms of general game design of the game, we take a lot from the Metroidvania genre for the whole structure, and we want for that for the player to go through their journey by progressively unlocking the temple of the planet thanks to the abilities hidden in those temples. For example, in the first temple, the player will gain the extrusion, which will give him the access to 2 other temples, and further they will gain new abilities to get access to other temples. And for this, they will have to explore, find, and use new quintessence powers to open those new temples, but also new areas of the former temple they have already explored. And we want, for that, we want the player to find new ways within the temples, but also between the temples, as they will get and gain mobility through the game. By overcoming those challenges, they will finally gain access to the Earth of the planet. Talking about the temple themselves, there are ominous places that Cassandra will explore to recharge the child. The child is the quintessence. And those temples are structured with hallways and maze-like corridors where gravity can shift without warning. And she will have to find there, in the depth of the temple, of each temple, what we call the Direct's chamber, which retain the new abilities of the Quintessence. They are some kind of the core for a temple. This system allows us to explore different environments and to give way to exploration in the same time of fast-paced parkour. So the game will oscillate between two kind of rhythm. We find a way, as you have seen in the demo, to put the zero-G areas as obstacles for the player. And we are reflecting on a dynamic save system in order to allow the player to backtrack, and not thanks to the different save rooms, but also to gain less frustration from the mistakes they will make during the parkour. So we are thinking about a dynamic save system oscillating between the rooms and a system of checkpoints based on the Quintessence itself. But yeah, this is for the general game design. We have a question now: how do Cassandra evolves within and explore those temples? So we have to tell you that we have two core gameplay mechanics. I will let Ida talk about it.
First, we build the basic moveset of the character. It implies the running mechanics. As you saw on the video, the player has different speeds, and the longer you maintain the joystick, the faster you go. And you can also use boosters to go even faster. It's same for the jump. The longer you maintain the input, the higher you get. And it's not apparent. It's not on the video. It was not on the video, but we are working on a wall run and a wall jump. You can use your air piston to move in zero gravity areas, and your thruster to go faster on zero gravity areas.
So during the demo, you could hear some of the way these various speeds and environment affected the follies of the movement of the character. So briefly, we used mainly the player speed to determine the type of sound that we're going to play for the steps, varying from a walk to a running to a sprint when reaching the full speed. Same thing goes for the jump. When you have no velocity, you just simply jump vertically, and you have a different sound than when you have higher speeds, and then you do more of a leaping sound, and when you land on the ground, you do more of a on the ground, you scrape the ground a bit when you are at higher velocity. For the jump, for the boost, sorry, we have a simple system of starting the action, holding the button, and then simply stopping to stop to have the ignition stops. And for the precision movement inside the zero-G volumes that you can hear more in the full demo that is on YouTube that I have uploaded. This one was a shorter one for the presentation purposes. When you look around, you have the air pistons that adjust. This is to help justify how the character can move her body around. So we talked about zero-G. So we have a gravitational aberration in the game. So thanks to our programmers who developed a different system for the physics and the gravity engine in Unreal Engine, we have developed zero-G volumes that were in the demo. It appeared in sort of a foggy white areas. So the zero-G volumes change the friction of the player and make it that they maintain the momentum. So later on in the game, the player is going to encounter very dense objects, some sort of like singularities or small black holes that are going to change the trajectory of their parkour. So to help with that, the programmers created a tool for the level designers so that we can place very dense objects and you can preview the trajectory that's going to be impacted. So we have a short GIF coming up that is an example of that. So first you're going to see briefly zero-G volumes in blue. that the player is going to traverse through, sort of the blue translucid areas. And then they're going to go to a platform where there is a blue line. And so the blue line shows how the gravity is going to be affected by the dense sphere. So the player loses control and is attracted by the sphere. And this is how the dense object interact with the player. Some of them are very dangerous and can attract the player to the core and destroy them. So you may wonder, this is a bit intense for the player maybe, because losing the control and having the camera shift perspective with gravity is quite disturbing. So we have been thinking about visual induced motion sickness a lot. That is one of our main difficulties, the thing that we wanted to clear up first. So for that, we have a few different tools at the disposition of the player. First, we have a adjustable field of view slider. We can have a pointer in the middle of the screen to help to clarify the action. The level designer put some fixed landmarks that are not going to move at all during the traversal. So this is also helping to give more referential spaces for the player. And also the head bobbing of the player moving can be adjusted. We are looking into more accessibility options depending on the time budget and the constraints. Mainly the one that we want to focus on are going to be the subtitles for the dialogue, and if we can manage it, the closed captioning of the sound effects. The rest of our researches in accessibility are more regarding the different interaction with the controller that we want to make sure are customizable. So I'm going to give it back to Ida.
We talked about massive objects, and that's why the quintessence is a necessity. The quintessence, as I said, will give more power to the player, and one of them will be the extrusion power. It's a power to create platforms from surfaces. The power of the electromagnetism, the power to be attracted by surfaces. And this power will be very useful to counter the attraction of a black hole. The time manipulation is the power to freeze the time. It will be helpful to freeze violent gravitational streams, which will be one of obstacles, one of the obstacles of the planet. All these powers are dynamic, and you can use them very fast in a sequence of parkour. We also have designed other mechanics like black hole teleportation, super dash, quantic destruction, and even oh, sorry. Could you, yeah, excuse us. Thank you. A quantic destruction and even a quintessence suit. We are looking for combination between them to create an emergent use of this power. For the vertical slice, we choose to produce the electromagnetism, and it's a power we choose to represent the game in the vertical slice.
So a vertical slice takes place early in the game, during the exploration of the second temple. So the player is going to find the electromagnetism power. So the main structure of the structure overview of our vertical slice is the player starts at the outer rim of a temple and enters a canyon. This is going to be a dialogue scene as well. The canyon is the area you saw in the demo. Then the character is going to go into the entrance. One thing that we have in mind for this that is happening in the vertical slice is the character shouldn't be able to go back. When they commit to entering the temple, they stay inside. Once they enter the temple, they're going to see the prisons that Ida presented earlier. And it's going to be the main source of pressure for the parkour inside the temple. The player is going to reach the direct chamber and obtain the electromagnetism power. When finding their way back inside the temple, they're going to confront the presence that's going to chase them. So the electromagnetism is going to allow the player to use a different road, a different path that they couldn't access before to exit the temple. And this is going to be the epilogue of our vertical slice. So briefly, the entrance. This is some concept art to illustrate what we talked about. So we have the temple inside of the rock, and the player arrives at the end of the canyon section.
the player will get into the temple, yes, and this area is more challenging for the player, and they will have to get through a sequence of different obstacles, and the architecture is more geometrical and monumental.
After that, the character is going to reach the direct chamber, and this is going to be more of a calm before the storm place, where we can have a more calm atmosphere and some music. The idea is to give the player a bit of time to grab the new power, familiarize themselves with it, and then exit to the temple back again to have the chase sequence that is going to end the demo. So I'm going to give back the mic to Ika.
Thank you. Quickly, we'll talk about the marketing. Our segmentation, we are aiming for PCs and consoles, as we said. The genre is for first-person adventure game, Metroidvania-like. It's an immersive sim, and we want it to be a parkour game. And the target is the game is aiming at core and hardcore gamers and a mature public. Yes, so considering the positioning, the fifth interaction is at a crossroad, which can be challenging. It's between parkour and exploration, atmosphere and action. Yes, that's all for now. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any question, we will be glad to answer it. Thank you.
Thank you. So, just good. I think we have a first question from Nicolas.
Yes, more than a feedback than a question. Just, I didn't even present myself last time I asked a question. I'm Nicolas. I'm a game designer from Ubisoft. First of all, I think your game, your ID is pretty great. And I think, if I understood well, your game is some kind of Metroid-like, you can unlock abilities that will give you the possibilities to go into places that you cannot go before. So I think that's a great idea, and I also love your 3Cs and the ability you give to the player to move and things like that. I think it's very great. So I've got a question that is kind of a feedback, because I think I'm going very far, and I'm not sure you will be able to add that in the game, but do you plan of adding systems into your game? Because I think with the 3C you've got, actually, it will be great to have like some elements in the level that will be system. I don't know what could that be, but a system that the player could interact with, and so it could create emergent gameplay. And I think it will be great to have that kind of thing into a game like this. So yeah, the question is, do you plan of adding some game systems to your game?
Thank you for your feedback and your question. Yeah, actually, we have a great reference that is immersive sim and arcade games. So we are intending to put a systemic relation between at least the 3Cs and the Quintessence powers. And beyond that, yeah, we are reflecting on several interactions, but as the planet is very empty, it will be limited in that point. So we would like to, and that's maybe yeah, completely beyond the vertical slice, but yeah.
Okay. So I was seeing the immersive sims inspirations, and I think you can check a game that is called Spirits of Xanadu. I think it's an immersive sim created by two people, and it's really like it's kind of cheap, but it's really good, and it have good system ideas that are made to be cheap. And I think you could check that, because I think it will give you ideas for your game. I will write that in the chat if you need.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nicolas. Ludovic, you have a question?
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. Solid atmosphere. I have a question, like it's similar to the ones from Nico, about like the level design and mechanism from the 3Cs that you have. You mentioned a lot of minerals at the beginning of the presentation with different textures. And since you mentioned friction and it's important in this kind of gameplay, especially with the weight of the character, the way you move in the world. Do you plan to have those different minerals impact the way the character is moving, the friction of the character on these surfaces? Essentially, for instance, for the first part of the game when the player doesn't have a lot of tools to navigate, so to create some emergent behaviors like a knowledge on those different minerals, how they affect the players and how we can use it to progress in the level. Is that part of the plan?
Yeah, of course. That's a good question. For example, the Quintessence, we think that it will react to different kind of minerals. The powers of the Quintessence won't be available for all the surfaces. For example, we are reflecting on the extrusion, and we don't know if it will be for every surfaces or only few kind of stones. And it could create, that's also a kind of answer to the previous question, it could create new emergent use of these abilities, especially when the player will try to use it with another one, another Quintessence ability. And we mentioned the fact that it would be possible for several stones to be more taken like obstacles, like stones that can attract you or trap you, or maybe you can slide over some stones, etc. So yeah, we are thinking over it. We don't know if it will be in the vertical slice. We have a lot to implement still. So, but yeah, it's something that we've been thinking about. Fanny wants to add something.
Yes, I just want to add that there's many different materials will help us to have a clear visual language for the player to find his own path.
We can't hear you properly. I don't know.
We can't hear you, sorry.
Yes, sorry. 2020 classic stuff. Yeah, because it's also important in Metroidvania to have reference points that you remember, like, oh, I saw this kind of rocks previously, I could not use it, now I have a new tool, so maybe, like learning the language is important.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank
it's how we create a grammar for the player to understand and to reuse in different areas the same mechanics. Yeah, exactly. We agree. Yeah, thanks.
Cool.
We don't hear you well. I'm sorry. I don't know who's talking, but we don't hear you.
I think it's very great. So I've got a question that is kind of a
we really do have hard time hearing you.
Able to add that in the game, but do you plan?
Nicolas, are you talking, or Ludovic?
Because I think with the 3C you've got, actually, it would be great to have like some elements in the level that would be system. I don't know what could that be, but a system that the player could interact with, and so it could create emergent gameplay. And I think it would be great to have that kind of thing into a game like this. So yeah.
I think Nicolas is actually watching a replay of the questions or something like this. He's not actually talking. Maybe mute yourself or.
Thanks, Marion. We had a hard time to understand what's happening. So sorry, I don't know if Nicolas or Ludovic, if you want to add something. I guess no.
No, it's okay on my side.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Grégoire, I think you have a question as well.
Yes, because unfortunately the video you were showing us were lagging, so it was not easy to understand what was really happening. But we have a question about the quintessence and so the superpower of the quintessence that you project to develop, which would be the electromagnetism, I guess. My question was it shown in the video first?
No, it wasn't shown in the video.
Okay.
Yeah.
But did you already implement it?
We actually are trying it. We actually can try it, can play with it, but everything is not settled down. And you didn't see that in the video because we placed the video at the beginning of the experience. That is to say, when you have even no one power. But yeah, we have only the 3C in the video with the thrusters and the fact that we can run more speed and yeah, everything that is around it.
Okay, because my question is the following one. Last time we spoke together, I was asking, and I was not the only one, about about the camera, the fact that you actually choose the first person, and the electromagnetism will turn you upside down, or maybe in every possible angles. And so did you try that, how it works? Is there motion sickness? And how did you plan to manage that actually? Because you're talking about accessibility, which is nice. And I have a lot of doubts that you will be able to integrate any accessibility feature, by the way, because you don't have the time. But just start focusing on your main feature and how is it accessible just by that, just for normal people, you know?
Yes, so far we have only the fact that we can use it on the walls, not on the ceilings. So we are not upside down so far. We are still, yes, playtesting it. And about the motion sickness, I will let Thomas talk about it.
Yeah, very briefly, simply just to say, sorry, I'm in camera now. That one of the main things that we identified early and that many of you told us about during the first few presentations was about the transition of the camera when we change referential. So that's something that we already can playtest, and we are, because the speed at which the camera rotates and everything affects a lot of the feeling of the player. So for now, this is helping us internally to determine what's the best parameter, and we are also have audio feedback to help the player and visual feedback to help the player understand when they have the switch happening. I mean, when they use the electromagnetism, they target a surface so that they know when the camera is going to shift and where. And the sound is going to help with that to ground the experience a bit more. Because without all of these feedbacks, just visually, it's a bit. It can be overwhelming a bit. I think Ika has something to add.
Just because you are now in the engine testing the 3Cs, and you don't need to get that far. We don't need to even think about the electromagnetism to think about VIMS, the motion sickness. We are already with our 3Cs are struggling against it because we decided to put some areas with no gravity, microgravity, and it will take time to balance it in order to make it smoother than what it is actually. Yeah, we are still reflecting on the camera. I think the easiest way will be to put some constraint when we are in 0G and to allow the player maybe to get some stability, maybe. And further, outside of our scope, we were reflecting about the topics of getting from first to third person when it's necessary, in order to give the player a point of focus when they are in great speed or when they are upside down. But as it's not in the vertical slice, we are just dreaming it, and it's nothing serious. But yeah, it's a topic that we took seriously.
Okay, I do have a point to raise on that though. If you do already have problems with motion sickness with the normal 3Cs, maybe it's a bit careless to actually use one of the ability of the Quintessence that actually emphasize on this, which is like a change of orientation in your player. Since you also have like the ability to extrude stuff from the walls, that might help you to have kind of the same flow for your vertical slice, but not maybe to put too much weight on something that seems to be giving you a lot of troubles.
Yeah, I forgot to tell you. So concerning the Quintessence powers, we only have the electromagnetism. We made that choice because we thought that talking about parkour and the intention of the game, it was more fidèle, more. Comment? Oh yeah, it was more. It was closer from our intentions. Let's just say that, and so we decided to go for the electromagnetism, but to use it very carefully, and it will be some kind of scripted events in the vertical slice. You will be like using it 3 times, and we want it to be impactful for the player rather than allow them to use it as they want. So we will try to showcase the ability in order that it gets the less impact on those problems with motion sickness. And it will allow us to be more precise with our 3Cs.
Do you have anything you can show about this thing? Is there any hidden video?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you quite well.
Do you have anything you can show on this particular feature? Like you said, you have it in Engine. Like, is there any way you can put something on YouTube so we can watch it?
Yeah, if you want to come to talk to us this afternoon, we can show you because it's still in debug mode, so we can't put it on YouTube now. But we would be happy to show it to you how it is now.
Okay. Like it's in line with what I said earlier. Like showing it even broken is better than not showing it at all. But yeah, I'm anxious to actually see the video without the stutter from the stream, because I think that there's something there. But I kind of want to see it for real. You know. Thank you for the presentation anyway.
If you want, I can repost the link again if you lost it in the feed. I can do that at the end of the upload is private and share the link. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna upload it again. The demo.
Okay, could you put it in the Discord actually, so that we can reach it easily even outside Discord?
Instead of putting it on the Teams, put it on the Discord.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for all this exchange. I think we have no further questions. I think I've seen people coming in and out in the way they want, showing that they wanted to ask questions, but I think the discussion gave some answers. So are there some other questions or comments? If not, so I will thank again the team. So thank you, the fifth interaction. Thanks to all the teams of this morning. You want to say something, Nika?
No, thanks for the questions, and yes, that's it. Have a good day.
Thank you all the jury members for the exchange of this morning, for all teams. Thank you for the feedbacks that are very valuable. So as said, if you want to have a further exchange with the teams this afternoon, and even maybe for some of them during lunchtime, you can go on the Discord, and if you have problems with the link with the Discord, let us know and we will put it back on the channel, on the Teams channel. So there you will have particular textual but also vocal channels, so it will be easier maybe to share some of the elements they kept away from us. Thanks again. So if it's okay for everybody, I will wish you all bon appétit and see you all at 2 for the 3 remaining projects of today. Thanks again for the exchange. Bye-bye for now, and talk to you later on at 2. And congrats to everybody. Yeah.